Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do a contouring video, how to contour in 2019. We've had a couple of requests for this. Contouring has changed over even the last 2 years or so. It used to be very sharp, very straight, and it used to be down to about here, and everybody contoured to the max and it was just a little bit too much. Now I think it's toned down a little bit and a lot of people are going back to just using a bit of bronzer on the cheeks to contour, and it's a lot more minimalist. But if you are going for a night out and you want to just sharpen your cheekbones and your jawline, then I'm going to teach you how to do that. Okay, so the first thing you will need to contour is a contour shade. I'm using the Shade and Light contour palette by Kat Von D, and in here I've used them to death, as you can see. You'll have 3 contour shades down here, and there is a difference between contour and bronzer. So bronzer is usually a bit more warmer and orangier on the skin because you're trying to warm up the skin, and contour is usually more of a grey kind of cool tone shade. So if you are trying to contour with a bronzer, just keep in mind that you need more of a grey tone than an orangey warm tone, because we're trying to create a shadow, and with bronzer you're warming up the face, that's fine, but with contour you're trying to make it look like an actual shadow, a natural shadow. So right here you want it to be like the cheeks have sunken in. Contour brushes, it's really up to you. I've gone through quite a few contour brushes just trying to get the right shape for my face. I originally started out with something like this, but then I realised it's quite fat for my face. Do you know what I mean? It's like a fat brush and I want something a bit thinner. You can still pinch this if you have a brush like this. You can try pinching it and doing this and that'll still have the same effect. Then I kind of moved on to a brush like this because I thought that was more precise going in there. But then I realised that I prefer the tapered brushes. So this goes tapered at the top there, and it means that you can use the very tip to get exactly where you want to be and then press on more if you want it to be a bit thicker. So that's the Morphe Jaclyn Hill JH07. So what we're going to do is tap into this shade here. Always tap it off. You do not want a big harsh line. So all I'm going to do, you start from the top of your ear and then down to your mouth, but you're not going to go all the way here because we don't want this part shadowed. We want it to be just around here. And I do think that nowadays the contour is even shorter and people are just kind of doing it here and then blending it so you can barely see it around here, just to give that cheekbone the lift. So we're starting at the top of the ear and just sculpting that out. Also, just to let you know, we'll only be doing powder contour today because I don't believe cream contour is the way to do it. Especially if you're a beginner, it can just end up all over your face. It's really hard to blend out. I just think it's safer with powder contour because you can't really go wrong with it if you put it in the right place, that is. So top of the ear, very lightly, back and forth motions. And just building up slowly. You can do this with your cheeks to help you see your cheekbones. Now what people tend to do is drag it down a little bit down here. What you're trying to do is keep this bit here nice and bright so that people can see where your cheekbone ends. So you want to, if anything, blend upwards, but you know, just as you're doing it, make sure that you're leaving this part out. You want to just aim for above the cheek where the blusher is, because you don't want it to look like the cheekbones are sagging. They want to be nice and high on your face and give that youthful look. Next is the jawline. Now when people do the jawline, they forget to do this part of the ear here, which is going to lead down into this jawline and give that defined look. So make sure you go just where the ear starts and down to the jawline. We also don't want to go on the jawline because that's just going to disappear. You want it to be underneath so it's pronounced and you can see the jawline you're trying to create. If you have a square jawline, you can kind of make this part, this bone here, disappear by contouring that. I don't, so I'm just going to try and keep that all underneath. So only underneath the jaw. If you want a shorter chin, you can contour here. If you want a longer chin, keep it way under here. I'm just going to put it just under there because I don't want to change the shape of my chin. Also, never forget under here, you don't want a big white space under your ear. You want it to all blend in with what you just put under the jawline. So always take it down your neck, like so. And you can also fill the ear in if you like, just to help everything look more realistic and blended. So I'm hoping you can see that already. It's kind of looking nice and defined now, the jawline. Next is the forehead. Now I have a huge forehead, and when I went to a makeup artist, she was contouring here and here. And I said, what I usually do is contour the top here to try and make it look smaller this way. But she said, in my opinion, you don't have a tall forehead, it's a wide one. So she was trying to push it in a little bit and give the appearance of a narrower forehead. So that was a good tip for me. I love it when makeup artists tell me like the shape of my face. So I do 2 circles here, and this is what she did on me. Again, tapping off the brush, 2 circles, and that's just going to bring in the forehead like so. And then I'll just blend it with whatever's left on the brush up like this. Sometimes I do the top, but usually it's just this part. And she did come in quite far here, which looked strange to me at first, but it gives such a nice appearance at the end. You do have to be patient building up as much as you want to build up. And that is the forehead done. You can definitely see it's brought everything to the centre of the face and made the forehead look narrower. Now before we get onto the nose, we're going to talk about the lighter colours in the palette. So you can see I've used this banana shade like mad because it's so good for brightening everything up and using it as the highlight to oppose the contour. What I would usually do with this banana is go in with a damp beauty blender. I've not got much left, so I'm just going to dip into this one as well just to keep it bright. And what you're going to do is go underneath here to brighten this bit back up here. Make sure it looks sharp, like so. And that will be blended in, don't worry. Just carving out, as they say, that contour. And then I like to do this part here just to make sure it's not dark around these bits, like so. Then the middle of the forehead, the T-zone, brightening that up so there's more of a contrast with the contour. And then down the nose. Now you want to go all the way to the bottom. Obviously it depends on the shape of your nose. Contouring is different for however you want your nose to look, so I can't really tell you how exactly to shape your nose, but we'll just give you some of the basics. So I usually go all the way down, and then on the sides here, because you usually have redness around here or shadows from your nose if you want it to look smaller. So just put that in there. I like to brighten the under eye up as well. And then if you really want to go extra, under the eyebrows and over, just a little bit, just to give a little bit of a brow lift. So you can see my face is looking a lot more sculpted. Then I want to go in with a highlight on the nose. Now I'm starting highlight first because you'll see why. So I'm going to dip into a highlight here. There's not much left. Tap it off and go all the way down like this. Just through the centre of the nose, like so. And then obviously I've already got highlighter on here, but you'll put it here, here, tiny bit on the chin here if you want to bring that out. Obviously eyebrows again, basically where I've put that banana powder. You can also put whatever's left on your brush under here. And then we contour. Now Again, you can use a bigger brush. I like to use a small one for more precision. This is an eye shading E55 Sigma brush. I don't have a lighter contour to use for my nose today, but you would usually use something a little bit lighter than this because you don't want the nose to look too pronounced and too samey to the rest of the face, if you know what I mean. You want it to look more subtle, basically. So I'm going to dip into this, and the way I like to do my nose is starting at the top here. You don't want to forget this part in between the eyes. You want everything to flow nicely down the nose. And the number one rule with this is most people really want their nose to look thinner. Don't do the brown contour too wide. You're trying to make it look thinner. If you go too wide, there's going to be a big white gap in between, giving the illusion that your nose is bigger than it actually is. So keep it quite close to the centre, but not too much. You don't want it to look like a surgical nose. Now, this is not blended by the way yet, but I've got this dip in my nose here, which I don't have on this side. So again, we're trying to create the illusion of there not being a dip there, so we're going to brighten it up, because anything that's brighter is going to look more raised on the skin, anything that's darker is going to look more sunken in. So I'm going to try and brighten that dip up on the side of my nose there and make it disappear. Like so. This is pretty extreme just because I'm trying to show you on camera, and then I'm just going to get a clean brush and start to blend it all out. Now you can actually do this backwards, so you could put bronzer all over your nose first and then carve out the middle bit. So there's different ways of doing it. I just like to do it this way. Oh, and also the nostrils. So a lot of people kind of do this because it pulls in the nose, just slanted diagonal on top of the nostrils there. But of course always blend it out. You don't want big stripy lines all over your face. Now I don't like too much of a highlight on the end of my nose because I've got quite a bulbous nose, so I like to just dull that down a little bit to give the illusion of more of a pinched nose. So once everything's blended just how I like it, I'm going to use a setting spray. This is the All Nighter by Urban Decay. And what this does is melts all of the powders in together so that it doesn't look as harsh on the skin. You just waft that with a palette to dry it. Oh, and I've just remembered as well, if you want to make your lips look bigger, the bottom of the lip there, a bit of contour. So what a lot of makeup artists do is outline all of the lips with concealer, just a very thin line on the outside of the lips, and then contour this part here, just to make the bottom lip look more plump. And then the last tip is to do the eyes. So say you're going out and you don't have time to do a massive eye look, going crazy with it, you would just dip into your contour with a fluffy brush and sculpt the eyes out. So all you're going to do is quickly mark the crease out with the contour. So I think you can see that on camera. It's way more obvious in real life, but that's just a quick way to look more done up, really quick and really easy. And I think that's it, guys. I think we've covered everything. You can ask me any questions in the comments below, but yeah, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and click the notifications bell so you get alerted when I'm putting my next videos up. Really hope that this was helpful. Sorry it was a bit all over the place, but I just kept remembering things as I went. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed and see you next time for another video. Bye!